Hey everybody, welcome to Myopia Movies. This week we are re-releasing a classic episode and giving you a behind-the-scenes episode about how Cineclub and Myopia work a bit. Sorry it's running late. It's the Super Bowl, baby. Everything got away from us. In the meantime, we hope you enjoy this re-release of a classic episode from the beginning of our third season, Congo. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy.
So Matt, what are we here to do today?
We're here to defend the movie Congo, which is based on the first Michael Crichton book I can remember reading.
Oh, interesting. I didn't realize that it was the first one you had read. I think the first I read was for a target class, which is like the smart kid class, and we read Jurassic Park in 6th grade.
I read Congo in the 3rd grade. It was a reward for doing well in math.
What do you mean by that?
I did well enough in math I could read that my parents let me read my dad's copy of Congo.
Oh, nice. So that must have been a pretty, like a new release at that point, because Congo's not that old.
I don't think it was that. I think it was a paperback book. So the first one have been hardback, or that was the original first edition. I don't really know.
Oh no, I'm way wrong. It came out in 1980, so that must be an older Michael Crichton book.
Wow, 1980.
Yeah.
I guess we get to Michael Crichton's career into pre and post Jurassic Park.
Yeah, I guess I do the same thing. And I guess I just became aware of him with Jurassic Park, although I've read I think all of his books. Though I don't like some of his later ones. They stopped being as fun. But what do you remember about Congo? I just remember it being nothing like the book.
The book was, they had to consolidate, they had to trim down and consolidate a lot of the book storyline, because the book storyline is very complicated. Like they were racing the American team was racing a consortium of German and Japanese explorers as well to get to the city in the jungle with the diamonds, which I don't remember anyone else being in the movie, any other rival team being in the movie at all. And there was no Tim Curry mysterious benefactor figure, and the leader of the team was a woman, but she was not romantically involved with any member of the prior team, which in the movie she was trying to get her ex-fiance or boss's son out.
So what do you like about this book? You're usually a stickler for people keeping to the original material.
Well, I was at Dragon Con, S.M. Sterling said, short stories make good movies and books make good miniseries. Or the Congo, making it faithful to the book, you'd probably end up something one of those BBC productions where we have a complete story being told in a single season. As it could make a good TV show, but once you go through the events of the book, there's really nothing after it.
Sure.
Something we should do in America sometimes.
Well, I mean, I guess, yeah, I mean, we really don't usually. I guess HBO kind of does that. I mean, that's what Game of Thrones is.
Yeah. Or a mini-series, but a TV series is generally a lot longer.
Yeah, we tend to have very long seasons. So what should we look for in this movie? I really don't remember having a good, positive memories about it. I remember it being at Taco Bell. I remember when I finally saw it, I was extremely disappointed.
Well, part of this might be some nostalgia factor on my part. I remember seeing it with my grandfather, Quinn, not long before he died. I've been 4th or 5th grade at this point. But I guess just kind of rule of cool. I mean, a lost city in the jungle defended by an army of trained guerrillas that the original inhabitants had trained to defend the mines, and after they left or died off, the monkeys kept going for centuries.
Yeah.
And a talking gorilla with like sign language, do it with a robot arm that can talk. I guess there's a lot of rule of cool stuff in here, period.
What does that mean?
Rule of cool is from, drumroll please, TV tropes. It's just you put in something because it's awesome.
See, I just remember it all feeling very cheesy and very contrived. Like some of my favorite character actors, like Bruce Campbell die before the movie even gets going.
Holy crap, that was Bruce Campbell. The guy dies in the prologue. I just remembered he had a long face. That was it.
And like another favorite B actor, Joe Don Baker is the dad who's just insane, and something lasers, something communication satellite, something giant diamonds. It just seems like the plot of a bad Bond movie, of which next to nothing I remember being in the book.
Well, the book went into a lot more detail about industrial diamonds and computers, and I think it had a very late 80s, early 90s zeitgeist, that Japan and Germany as economic competitors and computers and so on and so forth.
Well, I guess even earlier than that, because remember, the book came out in 1980.
Oh, 1980, sorry. I got confused with Jurassic Park, which came out in 89, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, even more so. I mean, when did the Apple come out?
The first Apple computer?
Yeah.
Late 60s?
I mean, PC, desktop.
Yeah, the Apple II came out in 77. The Apple I came out 60 something, I think.
Yeah, so there's a lot of historical context you can put this in.
Yeah, but anyway, it doesn't matter. I guess we'll have to watch it and see. I just remember it being really cheesy, and it came out after Jurassic Park, and people thought it would be very Jurassic Park-ish, and it's not very Jurassic Park at all.
I would not be surprised if it's cheesy.
Well, there's optimism for you. But we'll see, I guess. So let's go watch Congo. Hi, I'm Nick Hoffman. Welcome to Myopia Defend Your Childhood. This week, we watched Congo, the second biggest waste of gorillas since Peter Jackson's King Kong. I'm Nick Hoffman, editor-in-chief of Do Letter. This week on panel, this week defending is
Matthew W. Quinn.
And on panel, we have
Madison
and
Jaybird
and
Darth Jader.
So, before we get too far into this, Matt, how did this movie hold up for you?
Well, I was expecting it to be kind of stupid, but I actually enjoyed it, and I gave it my blog post to be an 8.5 out of 10. That's better than I gave Titan AE.
Wow.
That's also better than you gave a lot of good movies. I think it's better than Jurassic World as well.
Uh-oh.
We have to check on that then. That's awkward.
It's better than Jurassic Park, I think, too. But that's another story for another day.
Oh, God.
Yeah. But did it hold up? Did the gorillas look good? The blurry white?
Well, I was expecting it.
They were gray.
I expected them to be bad CGI. They weren't. They were people in costumes, but people in costumes mean at least they're there, as opposed to running away from a tennis ball.
What about Matrix Gorilla in that one? We'll get back to Matrix Gorilla in that one scene. But before we get too far into this, our lovely lady panelists want to try to tag team this plot. Madison and Darth? Jader?
So
Right, Madison.
starts out with Bruce Campbell without a boomstick, and he is in the Congo. And what I loved about this is it just kept saying Central Africa. We never get an actual country. It's just Central Africa.
Well, to be absolutely fair, this was in the 90s where
We didn't know the different countries of Africa.
we literally didn't. Like, there was a lot of ignorance about that subject, and honestly, there was so much warfare going on that dividing lines were being changed, it seemed, at least every couple of months. So that was kind of confusing, and so to be safe, I guess the movie was just like, Central Africa. We don't want to say Congo or something Republic because we don't know what it's going to be.
To give it that timeless quality that this movie sure seemed to try to...
To give it that,
It definitely.
but that apocalypse now sort of feel.
So anyway, we digress. So Bruce Campbell's in Central Africa, and they're mining for some kind of
Diamonds.
they're mining for diamonds. They're like blue diamonds, super
Rare
fancy meth diamonds. And
Right, Francis Award. Glastonbury diamonds. It's the only reason why Breaking Bad ever happened, gang. This is actually a prequel for most people who don't know.
anyway, Bruce Campbell is in the middle of a transmission with Laura Linney, and the transmission gets cut off, and Laura Linney starts freaking out because she can't get a hold of him. Jump to Bruce Campbell holding an eyeball in his hand and screaming, and the screen going black.
Yes,
So we know something bad has happened.
because what happened was Bruce Campbell was in the jungle, and one of his team members found this whole separate city once they dove into some cove, and he was like, look what I found. So they dive under the cove, and there's this little cave that they swim through, and there's something that's ripping people's eyeballs out, and Laura Linney is part of this huge company now that is looking for said diamond, like we said, and she is the former fiance of Bruce Campbell. Yeah.
Mhm. Yep. Former
And
fiance.
his dad actually owns the company that's looking for the diamonds. He sent his son looking for them. And Laura Linney, if you look it up on Google or IMDb, her character is listed as like former CIA, botanist, stock car driver, professional chef,
Trick shooter.
intermittent sower. She's done literally everything in the world, but she gets sent on another expedition to go look for Bruce Campbell, but her CEO really wants her to just find the diamond, even though that's her kid, and that's his kid, excuse me. And meanwhile, you have
Primatologist.
primatologist. I can't remember his name.
It's not important.
He's one of the doctors from Nip Tuck.
Yes.
And he wasn't famous yet
Peter.
as of this movie. P.S. Peter. And he's actually been training Amy the gorilla and teaching her American Sign Language and actually teaching her legitimate English, and because she can speak to him in sign language and he can speak to her with just words.
Well, and we have to talk about she can speak in sign language because of this machine that he's created that's able to
she can speak out
translate.
loud. Like
Yeah.
she can speak sign language on her own, but then they've actually fashioned this glove that fits to her arm where it sounds like a 5-year-old child when the gorilla speaks, Amy, pretty gorilla. Like it's
And spends the whole time calling Laura Linney ugly.
Ugly woman. Yes, ugly woman.
because Amy gets aggressive around other girls. But, worlds collide when Peter's mission. Okay, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But,
We need Daniel. This synopsis is going downhill fast.
no, it's not. It's actually too much stuff going on at once. Peter's expedition to the Congo to return Amy to her homeland in Central Africa, wherever that actually is, and Laura Linney's expedition collide because Peter doesn't have the money to get to Africa. Laura Linney's company does. So they end up going together, and chaos ensues because
The gray gorillas come out of...
no, not even the Grey Gorillas. Tim Curry gets involved, and that's bad enough as it is. Because
Tim
he's
Curry's accent was involved as well.
quote unquote Romanian, which is adorable enough in and of itself. They all go.
You who can remember to try to say his name? Can anyone remember his name?
Herkamor Hamulka.
Herkel. There's 9 syllables in there, and there's
Let me-
0 vowels.
Let me see.
You want to try?
I want to try it.
She's gonna give it her good college try.
I'm going to give it my damnedest.
Yeah, no, I'm pulling it up. It's Tim Curry as that.
As this thing.
Herkimer Homaka.
Exactly. He's this
A
Romanian.
little pentasyllable, clear that right.
He claims to be a Romanian philanthropist and wants to expedite and fund Peter's expedition to Central Africa. And so Laura Linney's expedition coincides with that because she ends up having more money, and Tim Curry ends up being a faker because he's looking for the lost city of, does anybody remember?
like
Zing.
It's Solomon's lost city of Zinj, where all the diamonds in the world are supposed to be. So you see, there are a billion different motives colliding in this movie.
Does Michael Crichton like bringing in good actors to pretend that they have lots of money and then don't end up having money to get
Only
people
able
to
to take
talk
Michelle's Ian Malcolm
dangerous animals?
/ Jeff Goldblum.
No, I'm thinking of the third Jurassic Park.
Well, I want to back up here because,
Yes, that's accurate though.
but
William H. Macy, Tim Curry.
Both faking having a lot of money.
well, and what's interesting here is that Michael Crichton wrote this book, and I remember them advertising this as like another Jurassic Park like movie. Like they even hired the same CGI animation studio to do the polishing, and it's mostly people in gorilla suits, and then a couple very badly done CGI scenes.
Yeah.
Also, I thought a lot about the fact that Legends of the Hidden Temple
Oh my God.
2 years before this, and then they made that horrible face thing that tumbled down. But the director here is Frank Marshall, which is interesting. He directed 4 movies.
Mm-hmm.
The other 3 are critically reviewed. The Vert Arachnophobia, the movie Alive, where the Ecuadorian soccer team crashes and they eat each other. That one was nominated for an Academy Award. And the movie 8 Below, which came out in 2006, which I hadn't heard of, but
With Paul Walker?
That's a lot. This movie, on the other hand, has a lower score than Spawn on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh,
It has a 22% on Rotten Tomatoes.
There's too
Then
much
what the
evidence,
hell does
like-
Spawn have?
At 25.
Wow.
Now, as a producer, however, he has 10 Academy Award nominations for Best Picture, including the first Jurassic Park, Raiders of the Lost Ark. He did War Horse. He's done everything Spielberg has done. He is the primary producer on Jurassic World.
Wow.
So he's The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Like, it just goes down the list as the first Black Stallion movie, and Signs, and The Sixth Sense. Like, so as a producer, he's awesome. And then he's like, I want to make this movie. Of all the movie scripts, he's like, I'm going to direct this one.
Well, and I think one thing that we even missed in the synopsis, even though it took 30 minutes for us to even explain, is that, like Madison mentioned, once all the expeditions coincide and everyone gets to Central Africa, there are these essentially specialized gorillas that were not genetically modified like in Jurassic Park, but they were essentially domesticized based on how violent they were. And the gentle ones were literally thrown to the wolves. Like, they were thrown out. You see piles of their bones later in the movie because it was like, oh, the gentle gorillas sucked. They're not good guard gorillas, as Laura Linney calls them at some point in the movie.
That's
but they're
Darwinism right there.
they're these, it's not Darwinism, it's just like training guerrilla soldiers, because they're these gray, almost ghost looking things that are super incredibly violent, and they rip people's eyeballs out, and that's no good.
And then I guess the story presumes that they then kill each other and train each other. They also train each other because that's how dogs work. You domesticate one dog and then it will domesticate all other dogs for centuries, millennia, in fact. Yeah. So the plot device, which you may have missed in their description, even though they mentioned this, it's about getting diamonds for lasers and freeing a gorilla.
We didn't mention the lasers. That was somehow supposed to innovate. It was supposed
The question mark.
It was supposed to innovate communication specifically, which I never understood, because at some point Laura Linney is using it just like Han Solo uses his blaster in Star Wars. She's cutting gorillas in half with this gun that she fashions with a diamond in the center of it, and it's just cutting through them like Dr. Evil would say, with a freaking laser beam. Like, it's awful.
It's awful.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
Oh no.
I'm indifferent.
I like Jurassic World or Jurassic Park 3.
We should start at the beginning here. Some of these characters are incredible. We started out with Bruce Campbell, who is Bruce Campbelling all over, leading Shin first and saving the day. And then all of a sudden his dad appears on screen, who's played by Jodan Baker, who's one of my favorite B actors of all time.
He's always that guy.
And he is Nick Caging all over this movie.
Oh, yeah.
He's never calm. And in fact, at one point, he was apparently, Bruce Campbell was Laura Linney's fiance. And she wants to find out whether or not her fiance was killed by the mysterious whitish gray blur that they see on screen.
And his dad approves her doing her expedition, and she specifically says that you'd better be sending me to check on the team, otherwise I will make you sorry. And damn it if she doesn't.
And at one point, I wrote this line down. She turns to him and goes, are you even human? Don't you care about your son? And he goes, I can be human later. And I want to nominate him for the best character in this, because he's not on screen much, but whenever he's on, he is losing his shit. Yeah. And it's the best thing about this movie, because he's just yelling, what about the diamonds? The diamond! It's like that guy in Crystal Skull who just wants the gold and is willing to die when the aliens come for the gold, just because he's like, but the gold is the only thing we're having in this. Like, there's no plot to this movie, so if you just give him enough pure crystal meth, he's fine.
It's super reminiscent of Mission Impossible too, sadly, because the true villain in that movie was the owner of a pharmaceutical company that was trying to engineer a new disease, and that's all he cared about. And the diamonds, the disease, that's what's going to drive profits. That's all it's about. It's just ridiculous.
I'm sorry, I keep thinking about Nicolas Cage saying, the bees, the bees!
Yeah.
Man, it's like, or even like in, I just wish Jodan Baker was in it more, because you'd be like looking at the GPS maps and it's like the map is trying to tell me something. it's on the back of the Declaration. Like,
I would have been okay with Gary Busey playing this role as well.
yes.
This might have been around the time of his accident, though. I'm not sure that he was available. Yeah. When did he have his accident?
Wear your helmets, kids.
Yeah, wear helmets and watch your gums.
Yeah.
Does he need tooth mouth guards? Does one just not cover all the way up?
He and Xena Davis both.
I don't know everything about Gary Busey as much as I do know about him. I don't know.
Everything's the same. Got the helmet size.
Gary Busey is not in this movie, so
Oh, poop on you. Okay, we'll talk about people in this movie. Ernie Hudson is the best part of this movie. I'm going to throw that out.
He's pretty great. I liked Delroy Lindo with his French accent, like you mentioned earlier, Nick. And
which character is Delroy Lindo?
all right, when they first get to quote unquote Central Africa, wherever that is, they eventually mention Zaire and the Congo, but those are the only two specific regions mentioned in the entire continent of Africa. But Delroy Lindo is the guy that they first see when they come into what looks like a former embassy, and he's like, I want more money.
Oh, he's the corrupt.
He's the
soldier.
colonel. I think it's supposed to be What? Yes,
I
but
think it just entered Zaire. I'm not sure.
They're trying to get from blank to Zaire to Congo.
Yes.
But but he's the one who wants the bribe, and he gets like 9. He gets literally stacks. He gets just stacks.
And that actually happens in bank worlds where, I was a teller for 2 years. We actually literally staff the money in account of this is $5,000, this is $100, this is $50, so on and so forth. He got literal stacks of money.
Yeah, and I want to know where she was pulling them from, because she just reaches behind her and pulls them out.
She has a big canvas bag with a dollar sign on it.
Yeah, she's
It's legit. And then it was so great because she hands Peter, right? Amy's trainer or handler.
Yeah.
She hands Peter 2 stacks of money, and then Delroy Lindo demands more. She reaches into her bag and gets out 3 more stacks, gives them to Peter, who gives them to Delroy Lindo, who then puts them in a paper bag and staples it shut. And it says, I don't want the other people to see what I'm getting. Like, his accent is so horrible, too. Everyone's accent is so nondescript.
And at one point, the subtitles for me, they just gave up and they just said it like native language. That was it. They just didn't care.
I'm guessing you're talking about the scene they find the survivor who's catatonic.
No.
Chanting.
No, they say French in French, and then after that scene with Colonel
Wada.
Rindo, Delroy
Lindo, yes.
Colonel, just go to native language, which is weird because if it is the Belgian Congo, it should be more French.
Yes, it should.
It's frankly a movie where a lot doesn't happen.
Too much happens that delves away from the whole point of the movie. Like, too many people have too many motives, and then essentially it all ends in they finally do find Tim Curry was right, boys and girls. And actually, raise a glass to Mr. Tim Curry, who just actually recently had a stroke and only recently showed back up on the red carpet. We all love you, Tim Curry, for one reason or another.
It'd be unfortunate if he had a stroke and all he could speak was in this accent.
Oh, that's not good.
Either way, he is the one who's the crazy one on this expedition, saying that Solomon's village is still out there somewhere. We've got to find the City of the Diamonds. And damn it, if they don't find it, and that's where all the crazy gorillas that rip out people's eyes, that's where they live.
But Jade, how did he know where to find this one temple of King Solomon?
From the Legends of the Hidden Temple?
No, he had a ring with a yellow eye on it. And then, but Amy was drawing the yellow eye, so he knew that Amy knew where it was.
See, this is your Nick Cage tie-in because it looked like the all-seeing eye on top of the pyramid on a dollar bill, and so Cage he just show up. But the dollar bill is telling me something.
Yeah, that's one thing that you actually see very early in the movie that doesn't necessarily mean anything right away. When Peter and
The Illuminati.
Yes, the Illuminati gorillas handler
with gorilla.
They've got Amy, the actual gorilla that can speak, and I know that this seems like a super far stretch, but later on, there's actually, in real life, boys and girls, Coco the gorilla that we mentioned in our Hook episode, who's friends with Robin Williams, who, when he passed away, they told her that Coco, oh, sorry, Coco, he passed away, and she goes, Coco's sad. And that was heartbreaking. Because
is this the same girl that lied about doing something and blamed it on a kitten?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but gorillas can speak sign language if you train them.
They can, but going back to the point of that is that Peter had trained Amy to do sign language, and he also trained her how to paint. And so she was painting. Her favorite color is green, and
I wonder why.
Exactly.
Mad stacks, yo.
And they start pinning up all of her paintings around the little trailer that she lives in a little cage that they pin her in the back. And she always paints this all-seeing eye within the middle of this splurge of green. And then they're like, wait, what are all these pictures starting to look like in this trailer? The jungle. She wants to go back to the jungle. No way. Really? The gorilla wants to go back to the jungle?
Well, I love how even more than that, it's just they give her 3 colors. One of them is green, and they're shocked that she paints a lot of green. It's
And a
the
doll.
most forced plot point in this.
And it's weird because they give her a doll. And not that gorillas.
Love something like that.
Yeah, her little lovey, and it's like a little sock monkey thing, and but the gorilla has this driving force. She wants to be a mother the entire time in the movie, and it's such a forced plot because she wants to go back to the jungle so she can be a mother.
Well, speaking of those,
This is all.
There's that
gorilla
handsome
sex.
silverback there.
Oh yes, he was quite the. Oh no,
it makes Peter shockingly jealous.
no, but in Amy's words, good gorillas. Like she liked them so much more than the silver gorillas. That's.
I got kind of a parental vibe off Peter was like, oh, he seems nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he looked a lot sadder than I would have expected from Dad.
Like he's sending his daughter off on a prom date or something.
Well, Amy got the same way when they got on the plane and Laura Linney was there and she was just like,
And then she
ugly
let
lady.
Green drop. her.
Ugly lady. And she wanted a green, yeah, the green drink. Ladies and gents, the gorilla asked for a 2-olive martini.
He's in the back shaking it.
I'm wondering why she's not in the cargo bay.
Oh, because she can fit in a seatbelt, I guess. If
Because-
my dog could buckle himself in, he'd sit next to me and coach.
That's why Mr. Ed always had a seat in first class. He knows how to speak to Wilbur.
I guess so. Speaking of Delroy Lindo, though,
Whoa.
no, but it ties back up. Remember, he has that line
Segway.
where he was like, everyone in my country is afraid to be seen in an American movie being cruel to a gorilla. I wrote that line because they were afraid. After taking $9 million in a bribe, he was like, you can go because we don't want to be seen shooting gorillas.
Well, the one thing that was happening with gorillas back in the 90s was poacher videos, and you can prevent poaching for the cost of a cup of coffee a day, or you can feed this starving child in this other region. And like there were so many advertisements for that back in the day, and it makes sense that they don't want to be caught on film, but that was such a tongue-in-cheek way to really go about that.
Well, and that's mixed with some of the weirdest political stuff. You know, like you mentioned the gorilla videos and the kind of awareness of the World Wildlife Fund with little, like the panda badges I remember seeing around in the 90s.
The red pandas, the regular pandas, the gorillas, yeah, especially the silverbacks like Willie B.
Exactly, because we have the Atlanta Zoo here and they're doing a lot of fundraising for it. But then they were just mixing random African politics. Like, this is more of a political thriller than a monster movie.
In the book, they had the whole thing where, on top of all the other crap they have to deal with, there's an uprising by this African tribe that eats people. They reference them, but in the books, they have to fight them.
They did bring that up because there was these 2 guys that showed up when they had first made camp, and they just sort of ghosted their way through the brush and were staring at the gang as they camped. And what was his name? Ernie Harris?
And they thought it was a meme.
Hudson, thank you. He was like, oh yeah, they eat people. He didn't say it exactly like that, but
I don't think those are the cannibals. Those are another tribe, because
The Ghost Tribe.
The Ghost Tribe, because they had saved the guy from the expedition who was.
oh, okay.
Well,
See, once again,
saved. He screamed and then died.
Well,
yeah, so many things happening.
They found him and tried to do some ritual to bring his soul back to his body instead of just eating him.
They brought him back for approximately 3 seconds before he saw Amy, and then was literally frightened to death because of Bruce Campbell dying due to the other gorillas.
Foreshadowing.
Oh no.
Yeah, this is probably the worst Crichton adaptation I've ever seen.
I didn't like Sphere very
Yeah,
much.
thank you. Sphere's terrible.
But it follows the book very closely.
But this movie, we knew too much about the existing animals. Like Jurassic Park, sure, you can make so many assumptions with animals that have been dead for millions of years. And look at all the backlash that those movies received. Oh no, raptors were supposed to look like this and blah, blah, blah. But gorillas, we knew so much about them by the 90s that it was absolutely, they had to create kind of Jurassic Park, like a whole other species of gorilla that would rip people's eyes out and take their limbs off and just murder people upon seeing them. Because Peter says throughout the movie, gorillas don't do that. I don't see Amy ever just delimbing someone. That's not how they operate. They're pack animals. They're peaceful. What's going on in this jungle?
Yeah, they did mention that, if you try and run away from them, they will bite you on the behind. Not they will rip your entire leg off.
Well, Ernie actually told Peter that. He was like, listen, you can't run. He goes, yeah, I've read the books. I know. And then that was the one funny moment of the movie because the crew comes up on this huge silverback male and he's just staring down the crew and pounding on his chest and he comes up to them and just charges and stares. And Ernie's like, you cannot move because he will bite you if you try to turn around. Peter's like, yeah, I know, it's okay. And then you look at the silverback for a second, the camera comes back to the gang and they're all hiding. And it was that moment where it was like, Peter, we don't have to outrun the bear. We just have to outrun you. So
I just liked how they were trying to tell the primatologist about silverback behavior. That was interesting for me.
yeah.
I don't know.
He's not a pound of sugar. He's a primatologist.
He's a weird character. Like if Peter didn't exist in this movie, like the Amy plot means literally nothing in the last 5 minutes.
And that, like, when
Amy helped them find the city in the first place, and we will follow the gorilla.
You say that, but then they followed the GPS anyway.
And the GPS at that point had crapped out. They couldn't find the city.
Laura Linney was using it at the top of the mountain.
Well, at some point, it stopped working.
it did, because Laura Linney's like, no, my company has this GPS, and then it stopped working, just like Matt said. And then she goes, well, I guess we do follow the gorilla. So it followed. But like when I remembered seeing this movie when I was a kid, I remember Amy intervening violently. And that's where Myopia really comes into its awesomeness, is that Amy just came in to defend Peter. Because basically Peter got surrounded at the end of the movie by all those crazy modified silver gorillas, not to be confused with the regular silverback gorillas, who were about to tear Peter apart. And she just put his head in her lap and she goes, Mother, Peter, Mother. And then Ernie, Hudson is in the corner. He's like, maternal instinct. Because all the gorillas pause, because no gorilla, whether it's genetically modified or not, is going to mess with a mother gorilla and her baby, whether or not it's a gorilla baby. That is so much confusion.
Yeah, but I was going to say, you explained it like the movie did, but we found piles of monkey bones already, both gorilla and just regular monkeys.
Yeah.
So we have primates and monkeys, and then we have human bones, including Bruce Campbell's rubber, whatever, smirking. It's like holding a diamond, which she then hits on a rock and then puts in a laser, which cuts monkeys in half.
That was
Something.
The latest in communications technology, that's what it was.
exactly.
It blows up a satellite for zero reason.
Yeah.
It's
As far as Charlie is concerned, she's not really rational at
The
all.
fact that Laura Linney
a
was
woman character.
that's what
So no, you can never have any irrational woman characters ever. I mean, people.
No. It's weird that she's the lead of this whole expedition until the last 5 minutes and then freaks out and she gets the one line. She
did tell in the beginning of the movie. She told him that the CEO of the diamond wanting industry, if you're not in this for your son, then I'm going to make you sorry. And she somehow, her GPS magically kicks back in and she blows up a satellite with a diamond gun from the middle of the Congo.
That is the biggest shit in this.
And that's the synopsis of this movie.
Well, and let's
It
not
took
forget.
that
While she has him throw away the diamond too. I mean, that's about the only thing that will keep her from probably getting sued to death for blowing up the company's satellite. Bringing him back.
Wait, why?
No, they're in a hot air balloon at the end. Yeah.
You mean after the fact that 3 other planes blew up because people were shooting anti-aircraft and they're flying in a balloon?
Hello, 1920s. We want our motivation and all of our travel ways back.
So
Thank you.
If another bazooka shoots at them, they can just blow it away slowly as they're...
Because when they crossed the border of Zaire, we saw, like, everybody bailed out of that. Okay, that was maybe
including the second team, which blew up midair with that wonderful, like, waxed mustache man
Which
as the
somehow
pilot.
they didn't see crash, like they just saw the after effects of it. But like that was the other one funny moment of the movie where they were all bailing out of the plane, and Ernie looks at Peter, and Peter's like, I can't jump. He goes, okay, well, that's fine. Can you fly this plane? No, that's cool, because the pilot and the co-pilot jumped out like 2 minutes ago. So deuces, and then they all jump out together. This movie.
Well, and you forgot the scene where they're shooting bazooka rounds, I guess, they're law missiles. They're land air rockets, right? Stingers, there you go. Out of the air with flare guns, because that was a thing. What happened a lot,
But somehow they were heat seekers. That might work. They're radar guarded. They'd be screwed.
They weren't, because they were missing before. Remember, they were blowing up nearby, but they weren't hitting?
This propeller plane didn't have a jet engine. Right on my sheet.
I love how you're defending a movie from 20 years ago.
But still, a hot air balloon, yeah, you could take that down with a bow and arrow. Like, it just, no.
A well-placed gorilla with a Nintendo Power Glove using sign language to talk through speakers. I love how they kept drugging her with banana skulls with downers, too.
Oh my god, that was, like, they date raped the gorilla. It was
apparently roofied the gorilla.
Yes, okay, that's a much better way.
Well, and then she's showing up and sitting like a Labrador Retriever, and the guy who's half dead except for the ghost drive is like, they're like praying over and praying over, and then they shake him. Are you okay? Are you okay? He wakes up, sees her, starts screaming, and then drops fucking dead.
Yeah, he literally died from fright because, like, that was the guy who was a part of the original expedition where Bruce Campbell was calling in, and this was the guy who actually found the lost city of diamonds, Solomon's Lost City.
That was him? I thought that was his eyeball.
No, that was someone else. He was just there when maintenance.
Okay.
No, but he was in that expedition.
Okay,
it was just someone else.
He was one of the original guys, sorry. But after he knew what happened with the silver gorillas who murdered everyone, when he woke up and saw Amy after the tribe revived him, the new expedition woke him up hoping to help him, and then he died 30 seconds later. So
in the book, he didn't die. He just screamed and screamed until they got the gorilla away, and then they're like, you smell like gorilla.
Well, and if he was, I knew it was one from Calvin Klein, Gorilla. And I was just thinking if it was a Crichton movie, he was probably just shooting it with morphine until they rescued him later on in the movie.
This movie just tried too hard. It was kind of like, what movie that we were talking about that combined too many things? Jurassic Park 3, I think it was. This movie combined Raiders of the Lost Ark, Legends of the Hidden Temple.
It's so bad wanted to be Jurassic Park, though.
Jurassic Park, yeah.
But there was no threat. You know what I mean? Like, if they land and then the gorillas were chasing them the whole time or something, that would have been something else.
Yeah.
But there was no threat until the last 20 minutes when all of a sudden they're in the...
There were too many threats. There was the Zairian gangster mob that was taking them over when they first came in. There was the threat of the CEO who wanted everything to happen and didn't, like, just was sending people out to the Central Africa to die. There were gorillas, regular kind, and there were the modified gorillas, and then there were people with horrible motivations and intentions. Like, too much was happening for this movie to wrap up neatly.
And then it seemed like a lot of it was, I don't want to say Wikipedia, but it was definitely TV troped. It just seemed like the Ghost Tribe of Africa showed up, and then like they were like, we could have a temple that looks like it belongs in another movie. Sure, why not? And then things just kind of threw together. It wanted to be one of those, kind of classic jungle movies with a little bit of a modern twist.
I think Crichton wanted his own King Solomon's Mines.
Well, King Solomon's Mine is a classic story. It just, I heard that he got paid before any of this came together. Like, but he got paid in the 80s before the movie was made, before the script was made. He got paid in 81 to make it before there was even a book, or Jurassic Park. And then Jurassic Park came out and they're like, can we make it more like Jurassic Park? And it just, all of this fell apart.
Then he must not have been paid royals. They must have paid him just a flat fee.
They paid him $1.5 million in 1981 to do all of this.
Jesus.
And
he got gypped.
And like,
man.
And let's not forget, like in the 80s, he was a director. He did the Andromeda Strain, he did The Great Train Robbery, and he did that one where there's robots in the Old West. Westworld. And then he said, I'm good with not directing anymore, and started writing again. And then that's where we get Jurassic Park in '93 from. And that's when we get things like Sphere, which I know you didn't like, but was a big enough movie that they got Dustin Hoffman to do it.
Yeah. It was a big deal at the time.
It was, and it's a much better book than it is.
Oh. All of these are better. Well,
No, they all. It's Jurassic Park's close, but most of them are better.
yeah, Jurassic Park came closest with the whole.
There's two things I want to bring up before we go on. At one point, Amy is feeling a little anxious, and so while being cradled by Peter, he starts singing to her "California Dreaming."
And everyone in the crew who is a native of wherever they're from starts word by word singing along.
Despite the fact
Welcome
that
to American pop culture. It's everywhere.
no one speaks English.
None of them speak, but they all know the song. And like, if Europe is to be contended with in this trend at all, they shouldn't. This song, I guess that makes sense because that song in the 90s would have just been popular wherever they were in Africa, which wasn't specific in the movie.
And no one else. The best part about it is it's never mentioned again. It never. You know what I mean? Like
It's literally a Disney moment. All of this just kick in with the same song lyrics, and they all know it, and they all sing it, and they're all packing the boats in California dreaming, and then it never comes up.
It's just a throwaway plot line. Like it's a plot device. That's ridiculous.
It's as though the director looked down and said, "This movie is going to be 20 minutes long," and he was.
I just kept waiting for him to go into like a flash mob. That's what I wanted.
And it was nothing. It was baffling because he was literally holding Amy and he starts humming and then he starts singing a little song to comfort her, and then everyone cuts in, and then all of a sudden they're on the river. Right? That was it. It was a cold cut. It was the weirdest
It literally, they were still in the...
It's the cold cuts.
And then my next comment before we move on was the next scene after they're on the river for about 30 seconds, it cuts to night, and then they get a hippo attack. And it was the worst animation.
Weird. That was like Anaconda meets Jurassic World for no reason.
Oz ride at Universal Studios.
Hippos are incredibly nasty, aggressive creatures, but
They're in there.
Set back to like something from Jaws.
It would have made more sense for somebody to get bitten by a hippo during the California Dreamin' segment than it would for a hippo to overcome a boat with a ton of guys in it. Like, they are nasty animals and they're huge. They can basically do whatever they want, but still, that part of it just, once again, too many things happening in one movie.
Also, who could give a shit? B, it's the worst looking hippo. Again, the Jaws ride. It looked like just this paper mache thing going on.
It was kind of, I'd take it over crappy CGI hippo.
It was kind of the Spinosaurus.
I didn't have a problem with the hippo.
Was it hungry?
It seems a little tricky why the hippo is attacking them all of a sudden.
I mean,
It looked cool.
They're incredibly territorial. They're very, very violent.
They are.
They kill more people in Africa than any other like large animal you would think of.
They do. You just have to remember to bring marbles when you go on an expedition. I mean, come on, people. No, but
In an eating race.
No, but seriously, like that hippo.
Can you imagine them just pelting them with marbles? Like, would change.
Are you supposed to be pink or green? What's wrong with you?
Peter's throwing like beach balls so they're floating. No.
The hippo was the Spinosaurus, like, river scene of this particular movie. They had to have a river scene where some big animal jumped out of the water and was super scary, and it's never served the plot.
This movie was almost a decade before Jurassic Park 3.
Well, then the Spinosaurus was the hippo of Jurassic Park 3. That's fine.
But
Either way.
After Jaws and after Anaconda.
Oh, God.
But like, if I may, it just shows that this movie makes no purpose. Like, there's no point. They just needed stuff.
The fact that you could shoot a laser into the sky and destroy a satellite.
And it wasn't GoldenEye.
Yeah.
Which came out the same year.
Oh, no.
GoldenEye came out the same year.
We had too much faith in what technology would be as opposed to what we already knew in these movies. And,
well, and like, for example, this movie, again, it's as though they wrote the plot and then they would get to set one day and they'd be like, well, we have no way to work our way out of this corner we've worked ourselves into. Well, what if Joe Don Baker sent in a second team? well, they'd have to talk to that second team and we'd have to write dialogue. No. They blow up midair, but they just happen to have a second communicator which doesn't blow up for no reason.
The Zion Air Force got a piece of their ass.
Yes, but why? Why does only the equipment survive? And then why do they get 3 or 4 days into the island when they've been walking for a month?
And never saw that plane crash. Never saw anything.
Look, there was another expedition. They were racing them, and the other expedition, I think, got gorilla mauled. So,
which we have at the beginning of this movie.
So this is, I think, a stand-in for
No, that happens at the beginning.
So that was there's a first expedition from the U.S. that got destroyed
in the boat.
Buffalo up.
Yeah,
and then the follow-up was racing a European and Japanese team.
Oh, so it wasn't
but interesting.
Yeah, it wasn't from the same company. It was literally
but
other countries competing for the same goal.
I guess they didn't want to make it because if this thing was fully adapted from the book, it'd be a TV show. So they basically made them another Travis team.
Unfortunately, guys, we're just about out of time. So we should go around the table, give our final judgments. We'll start over there, and we'll end up over here with Matt and his final defense. So, Madison, go ahead.
Okay. So I saw this movie when I was a little kid and was absolutely terrified of it. And I understand now where my irrational fear of gorillas comes from. I've always wondered where the traumatic event happened. It must have been this movie. We watched it at like 2:30 in the morning this morning and ended it at like 5. I don't know why this movie was so long. It was
about 2 hours long.
I like Michael Crichton a lot. I wasn't really that thrilled with this movie and could have done without seeing it. But it wasn't cliffhanger, so I'm happy.
Yeah. Jimmy, you got anything?
Great cast. Kind of played out like a B movie. Really didn't like much of the plot. Took way too long to get through something could take 5 minutes, but I did really enjoy the ape. They did a good job with Amy and I don't know where it was. I mean, I don't know if it was CGI or if that was a costume, but I really enjoyed the ape. So
fair enough, man.
That's it.
Jay.
Well, it kind of reminds me when I was watching the remake of The Blob with Steve McQueen with my dad a couple of years ago, and we're on a beach trip, and I was like, Dad, was this really scary to you when you saw it in films? And he goes, Kid, when I was your age, this was as real as it got. And I agree with Madison in the sense that this movie scared the living hell out of me when I was a kid because somebody in an ape costume, it was actually remarkably realistic for what year did this come out?
95.
Yeah, and that was really well done. It was kind of the point that I've made about Star Wars where I preferred puppet Yoda over CGI Yoda. It always made more sense to me for people to have something to react to in the film, and I remember this film being a lot more dynamic and important than it really was because when I watched it to catch up for this, it was just like everyone had a different motivation, which is fine, but that doesn't serve the plot of the movie at all. It just was this jumbled bag of confusion and nothing really getting accomplished except for Amy finding her way home. So cheers to Amy. I hope she had the babies that she wanted to have.
Yeah, she
good for her.
Great plot.
She really did. Good for her.
Matt, what was your final thoughts on this, buddy?
I still think it was pretty entertaining. I mean, I expected it to be awful or at least kind of goofy, and it was pretty fun. And yes, that laser, the chop of apes was really cool.
The ape chopping laser.
Yeah. No.
The latest in communications technology.
You can get 2 for $19.99.
It comes on sharks and sea bass.
Well, it is a kind of communication when you cut someone in half. You're communicating very clearly.
I only like you as a friend, monkey.
Is this the friend zone laser?
The very aggressive fact.
It's the dead zone.
Owned before.
Dead zone laser.
I don't remember losing my limbs that time though.
Well, sometimes you absolutely have to make a point.
Some people are just
laser point. That just happened to all of you, and now you all hate me. That's okay.
So I think we're done.
So done. We're so done.
My final thoughts on this are it's a pretty good, lazy, hungover movie.
Yes.
Because it moves fairly slowly. It's very predictably, other than when all of a sudden Bruce Campbell looks down and there's an eye in his hand.
Yeah.
With that one exception, it's not it's not startling. And I mean, like, you knew the guy was dead because he was gone for 45 minutes and he's taken out a chocolate bar. It's got to be bad. I didn't expect that. Oh, and then at one point, one of the ghost apes or the gray apes throws a head at someone, which is also pretty good, but that's the worst head.
And it's
like,
so bloody and just not a head.
It doesn't look like a head. It's probably the biggest budget B movie I've ever seen. Like, you have B movie actors acting in B movie ways. Everyone's over the top. Laura Linney is freaking out. Jodan Baker's yelling the whole time. It's a lot of nothing that happens. Is it a fun movie? It's a fun movie. I'm not gonna like poo-poo it for being silly because it's just, you know, we've done Mission Impossible, which has a very complicated plot. This is not complicated. There's just a bunch of shit that happens.
Yeah.
There's too much stuff. There's not really a plot. And at the end, the only plot that gets resolved is the fact that Amy gets free because they actually find King Solomon's mind. It just gets destroyed. But no explanations happen. Like the fact that they start out with a crew of like 50 people, and by the end there's 4, and we see maybe a dozen die, but who knows what happens to the other 30 people.
It's very much Brendan Fraser's The Mummy, where 40 people start into this thing and they find this magnificent city that's lost to all society, and then 3 of them come out of it and the city's lost. That's pretty much the same
It is very un-Jurassic Park Michael Crichton, because Jurassic Park and Sphere, you know exactly how many people are there,
Plus,
and you know at the end who's going to be left.
Plus, the park is still open.
However, on that cliffhanger, since they announced that Jurassic World 9 or whatever,
Jurassic World 2.
in a short 3 years or whatever.
June 22nd, 2018.
Not that we haven't memorized.
3 years. You know, they're gonna. It's gonna.
Are you singing
it's
the
gonna-
song from
it's
the
gonna
cell
take
phone?
3 years to figure out which pose Chris Pratt is gonna be in while he's listening to Parks and Rec theme.
I thought you were doing the cell phone from Jurassic.
Bro, that would be, what was the cell phone jingle from Jurassic Park?
Oh no, it's just the night beat.
There you go. I was sorry. I was doing Carson Rec, ladies and germs, and Addison.
Before we violate more copyrights, we are in fact out of time.
I'm gonna get off mic before I do that again.
So, tune in next week and every week when we put a little bit more of your past on Tron. Thanks, guys. Myopia Defend Your Childhood is a podcast brought to you by DuneLetter.com and the ESO Network. It's hosted by Nick Hoffman and produced by Ann Burns. It is edited by Nick Hoffman. Our graphic designer is Scott Miller. The theme song is Caroline, written and performed by the Serenaders. Purchase their music through the Amazon link on DuneLetter.com and myopiapodcast.com. Questions or comments? Please email us at myopiapodcast@gmail.com or myopiapodcast.com. You can follow us on Twitter at Myopia Podcast and at Dude Letter. And find us on Stitcher, Facebook, and iTunes. And while you're there, please rate and review our stuff. It really helps us out and moves us up through the rankings. Additionally, if you want to give us some money, which, come on, we know you do, go to myopiapodcast.com/Amazon and purchase stuff like normal. Myopia gets a piece of the action whenever you do. We are also brought to you this week by the Bond movie Moonraker, where we get all of our laser science. Tune in next week when we'll put another little piece of your past on trial. Thanks, guys.
Myopia Movies is executive produced by Nick Hoffman and produced by Alex Ewalt, Kieko Childs, Matt Quinn, Nick Hoffman, and Nor Trinette. It is edited and engineered by Nor Trinette. The theme song is Surf Shimmy by Kevin MacLeod from Incomptech.com. Licensed under Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. All rights reserved. Thanks for listening.